comes. Yay!
You're all right, Amber.
Welcome.
How are you?
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is almost 4 o'clock. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting?
Motion to approve agenda item 2.1.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Are there citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business item 4.1, the high school student exchange trip to Nagano, Japan. Amber?
Good afternoon. Amber Bryce, Cultural Affairs Coordinator. So our high school student trip left June 22nd. They returned home on July 3rd. We had 4 high school students, all Clearwater residents, attend the exchange. They were interviewed and selected for the trip. One of them was selected before the pandemic, luckily still eligible to go this year.
2 of them.
Everything went, 2.
Yeah.
Everything went smoothly with the trip, minus the original chaperone not getting her passport in time. So luckily, Anthony Powell, who is on the Clearwater Sister Cities, Inc. board, was able to jump in on very short notice. So Mr. Powell is a teacher at Largo Middle School. He runs the Japanese Culture Club at that school, and we really appreciate him and thank him for his willingness to step in. And I've asked him to come here and share a little bit about the high school trip experience. So if Anthony wants to come up.
How's everyone doing? Overall, I would say that for the Nagano trip, it was very successful. I don't think there was any place where students were not able to do their best in situations that arose. And they came back with an immersive experience. They came back with these really strong bonds and relationships with their host families, and overall with, I almost believe, a newfound understanding and appreciation for other cultures. What we did for the trip, should I go over just like a small, tiny snippet, kind of?
Sure.
Okay, so the first 2 days we arrived in Tokyo. We went on a boat trip on the first day we arrived, and then the second day we went to a shrine, went to Harajuku and a Team Labs museum, which is a very interactive, immersive experience where it's all about subduing the senses and only experiencing what they want you to partake in for that personal, almost like a personal meditative experience you have. I don't know how to explain it. It's just very interesting. That was Tokyo, and from there we moved on to Nagano, which took up the remainder of the trip. And we spent 1 day with the host family. Most of the week from Monday through Friday was interacting between classes, students, like art classes, chorus classes, mostly English classes, and then doing core performances, I believe. Sorry, let me back up. Wednesday we did a cultural, let me see here. Yeah, traditional culture experience through Nagano, where you went to Zenkoji Temple, dressed in yukatas, get to experiment with traditional Japanese instruments, try the tea ceremony, and then followed by that, which was a Wednesday, then there was Thursday where you could, or the students performed in a chorus concert, and they did not have to at all. It was completely voluntary. So a lot of kudos for those kids, because that took a lot of guts to go on that stage and perform in an auditorium. Friday they did another performance. Oh, I'm sorry, the performance was not full performance from them, but they participated in a field day where they took part in like tug of war and some other activities that I'm not even familiar with myself. But it was very fun. That took up half the day, and onto the weekend is where we had our festival, where we had our Clearwater room, and we supported and showed many different items, decorated the room with Clearwater. What's what I'm looking for? I guess just decoration. We had props. It was from previous years, so and then we took part in the rest of the festival with other students and kind of mingled and had I believe that's, sorry, I think I'm missing something.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Sorry, Saturday night, that same day the festival started, we also had the farewell dinner. That's what I missed. And then Sunday, we continued the festival, and I believe it was open to the public as well. And nothing but a closing fireworks party at the very end. I know I kind of just went through this in a manner that my head was organized, but overall, the schedule was extremely busy, and I felt that the entire experience was successful because that allowed these kids to really just drop everything they did and just really immerse themselves in the whole time they were there. So they did things like they helped clean the classrooms and the hallways. They didn't have to do stuff like that. I encouraged the kids to go out and interact with the students a lot more, and they spent less time in the little office that we have as a space for ourselves, and they really appreciated that. There was times where I encouraged them, hey, let's schedule time to go souvenir shopping for your friends, families, and stuff like that. They declined. They wanted to spend more time with the students, and I felt like that is where these students are making a mark that is so profound to them that they feel the need to want to interact with these students and their families instead of doing these other things that I thought was just a suggestion. So I would say the trip was very successful. It was immersive. It was positive. Yeah.
Where did you stay?
I stayed with the host family nearby the school, maybe like a 5-minute walk.
Tug of war?
Oh, yes. So I have not seen a tug of war in a very long time. So to witness it on the field day where you have like probably 20 kids on one side, 20 kids on the other side, both ends reaching like each corner of the gymnasium, and they're just tugging, and they have like a routine and a method. So they're chanting and they're counting numbers with the way that they're pulling on the rope. And students, our students went there and they got involved in that too, and that was something to see, just like the energy from these kids. Even the concerts on, I believe that was Sunday where the kids performed, and that's where our students did the dance that they had planned before the trip. How
was the food?
Hmm?
How was the food?
Food's amazing. Food's amazing, always. Tried everything I possibly could. Same with the students, tried to encourage them to try some of the, sea urchins and shellfish that I cannot name or remember the name of. Yeah.
What's the drinking age there?
I think the drinking age is 20.
Yes.
I believe so, and I believe so.
That's the age to become an adult.
Yeah.
That comes-
Drive and you,
Oh,
Yeah, so the 20 is like the age from a lot of things, so drinking and the coming of age and.
Most countries don't have a drinking age. The U.S. and Canada are the main ones in the world that have a drinking age.
And Canada's 18.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I'm aware that the students in most Asian countries are responsible for the maintenance and cleaning of their schools. It's part of the curriculum. It's part of their chores. I wonder what was the response from our students seeing that and participating, like you said?
I don't know if there was exactly a response. I think the reaction that I saw when we told them what they're doing is the students were just like, hey, I want to go do that. Hey, let's go find our friend and let's go. And honestly, there wasn't much of a conversation. They just went. And I think that was like maybe day 2 that we were there, where all that encouragement, I'm hoping that they don't stay in the rooms that long, that it's just something they just want to get involved in. I'm like, listen, you're only going to do this once. Go do this. You know? What else are you going to miss out on? So, there was nothing. It was just,
Yeah, all
It's
of
as easy as
those
that.
kinds of experiences are part of the orientation that we do with the students before they go, so.
Oh, so they were aware?
Yeah, oh yeah, they were well aware of pretty much everything they were going to be doing while they were there, and we talked a little bit about what to do and how to do it, and what to do if you feel uncomfortable with something, and what to do if, something was too difficult for you, or something like that. So we spend a lot of time on preparing them for the experiences they're going to have.
Was there any language difficulty?
Yes, that was actually probably the most, well, not for me personally, but for the students, yes, because I don't think they had much Japanese language background, and I think they came in with very minimal Japanese. But from what I observed in the experience, they were able to use their cell phones. They attempted to talk to the students in English and try to figure out a method of communication. And from what I understand, the parents have an app called Line. It's their Japanese version of like WhatsApp and such. And their version of the app, they can type in Japanese and it automatically translates in English. And I wasn't sure about that at first, but I saw it firsthand. So that's how my family communicated with me the entire time. And I think those students could have benefited knowing more Japanese, I think. But overall, still a great experience. Still didn't hurt them in any way.
Very good.
Anybody else?
Thank you for jumping in there, and thanks for doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Sounded like it was a big
Arigato.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Thank you.
And just to follow up, the students did give a presentation at the city council meeting on July 20th about their trip, so if anybody's interested, you can go back and watch that.
Yeah, they did a great job. All right, anything further on 4.1? Let's move on to 4.2, update on Japanese students and teacher cultural exchange coming to Clearwater. Amber?
I had a Zoom meeting with Nagano City and some members of the Nagano School Board. It was a late night meeting for me, early morning for them, to discuss the student exchanges and will they be coming to Clearwater. So they've given us the dates of October 21st to October 30th, 2023 for the high school students. They plan to send 5 students and 1 to 2 chaperones. They're still not sure yet. These students and the chaperones will stay with homestay families. They'll spend a majority of their time at the local high schools. Pam Benton usually helps coordinate with the schools and has done this for many years, so if you have any questions about the trip, she might be better able to answer them than myself. The middle school trip will be in the U.S. from March 20th to the 29th, 2024. But they will only be in Clearwater from the 21st to the 25th. They usually spend 1 to 2 days in schools, and then they have 1 Clearwater day. And then they're going to spend some time in Los Angeles, and then they'll fly home. So if the board has any suggestions on what to incorporate in Clearwater Day, please let me know. They also have a teacher exchange, which will take place. It's usually a 1-month exchange from October to November, and they're only sending 1 teacher to Clearwater. We sent 2 teachers to Nagano in July.
Well, Coachman Park, right?
Yeah. And Coachman's a given. They've done aquarium before. I think we've shown them some of the city offices. But, it's a new trip. They haven't been here in quite a long time, so
Now, one year,
anything we want to add?
there was a Sister Cities member who owned a big boat, and they took him for a boat ride one year. They usually go to Pier 60.
Something to consider, maybe a lot of people don't know this, but you can walk from North Clearwater Beach to Caladisi. It's a pretty spectacular walk, very unique, And then we'd be glad to host a little lunch or some food afterwards at Carlwell, that little yacht club right there on the North Beach. It's a nice hike. It's very unique. The water is spectacular once you get across up to Caldesi, all pedestrian.
They can start off on Coachman Park, take the ferry to, to the beach, and then
Well, that's a long
Nice
walk.
little circular.
It's a long walk from where the ferry gives off by the library, the beach library.
That's true.
You could do it, but you could, I would recommend maybe starting a little further up, like up El Dorado there, if you guys know North Beach. There's it's a 1.5 mile walk each way, and it's, again, I think it's pretty unique. I don't know the beaches in Japan. I heard they have nice beaches, but I know most of the folks are coming from Japanese Alps, which is Nagano. There's no beaches there,
Right.
and that beach is very special. Not that Pier 60 is not, but that beach in the North Beach in Caldesi is, to me, pretty unique.
Yeah.
It's a consideration.
Great idea.
Good idea.
All right.
Any other suggestions?
Anything further? My teachers are still not back from Japan yet. They, after the program ended, they are traveling around. I know Mariela's in Hokkaido, and she's posting about 100 pictures a day, so she's having a great time. Anything further on the teacher and student exchanges?
My son, 14-year-old son, was with the middle school program. It was just tremendous. I mean, A+, everything about it. I mean, I realized that was part of a different one, but kind of a cousin of what we're doing here.
Sure.
And it was so impactful, the time in the school, the time traveling, the time with the host family. He did study a lot of Japanese beforehand, which did help a little bit. But just a tremendous, life-changing experience for him. So we're looking forward to reciprocating however we can as a family to help with the program.
Fantastic. That's what we want to hear. That's the purpose. That's awesome. All right, let's move on to 4.3, the Japanese Lantern Festival details.
We literally had a meeting right before this one, it's about an hour before this. Some of the takeaways from that meeting, that was our very first meeting to discuss this, about having a festival. And we have a tentative date of February 10th from 12 to 8. We would like there to be an evening component if we're going to have lanterns, so people can see them illuminated. There was some discussion about whether or not there'll be a performance of the sound, how that would conflict with the festival. So we've talked about, reaching out to Ruth Eckert and seeing if they want to be involved, and maybe somebody mentioned if we could get a K-pop artist or a J-pop artist, and maybe that would be
I would love
a
that.
nice component.
I got a long list of what you can get.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, the first steps, Stephanie brought up having a focus group with local residents that have ties to Japan to see what they would want to see or don't want to see at the festival, just to make sure we're being respectful of the culture. And then reaching out to vendors to see who would be interested and kind of deciding how big of an event this would be. So those are the next steps we're going to take.
Great. Anything further on 4.3? All right. Let's move on to 4.4, update on the sister city agreement with, Ixmiquilpan, Mexico.
I sent a draft of the Sister Cities Agreement to the Mexican consulate in Orlando on June 2nd. It took quite a while to hear anything back. I was told that the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Mexico has to approve all sister city relationships in Mexico, which is different than what we do here. So they were waiting for that on their end. I finally heard back from them last week. We were able to set up a meeting. My department had a meeting with the members of the Mexican consulate on Tuesday of this week, so July 25th. They've proposed a couple of changes to the agreement, and then we discussed a formal signing event. So after consulting with our legal department, we were able to make some of the changes. I've sent a second draft back to them. Once we receive confirmation that the document is approved on their end, we will seek City Council approval of the document. So this is on City Council's agenda for August 17th, with a official signing date scheduled to take place 2 days later on August 19th. That will be at Trinity Presbyterian Church in Clearwater. There's a Mexican cultural event planned for that day, and the mayor of Ixmiquilpan is confirmed to be attending. So barring anything happening to prevent that document from moving forward or being approved, it looks like that sister city relationship will be official on August 19th.
Cool. That's exciting.
Can you mention any of the changes they wanted to the agreement?
It was just very basic, like they wanted to change, like people, we had kept it very general, like exchange of people, and they wanted it to be more specific to culture, business, students, just small changes like that. And then, some of the changes, they wanted to take out some of the wording, like we have a lot of legal jargon about dates, which our legal team really wanted to keep in because it gives us a history of when we've talked about it at the advisory board, when it was passed at city council, all those things for our records. So it was basically stuff like that. It wasn't anything too crazy.
Any other questions?
So on that signing event, when the mayor is here from Hidalgo, the province, are we going to have a party that night to celebrate and kick it off with inviting a lot of the residents, or some type of celebration, press?
Well, because they've already got that cultural event planned, that's going to be, we're going to push it on our end on social media and probably do a press release and things like that, but they're already heavily marketing it as well to residents. So we're just kind of piggybacking onto their event. They've invited us to do a signing at that event.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm advocating that because right now Clearwater has a lot of momentum with Coachman Park, and let's keep the good news rolling, for our city. We have to capitalize on it for local PR throughout Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Just an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to push it as much as possible in
Yeah.
the media. Yeah.
Anything further? All right. Director's report.
Okay, so we had our student group go this summer as well. Our students left on June 6th and returned on June 20th. This is the middle school trip. We had 7 students go and 3 chaperones. On our trip, they traveled for a week, so they went to Tokyo, Kyoto, Nara, Osaka, Hiroshima, and then they spend about a week in Nagano, where they stay with their homestay families. And they were very warmly welcomed. James Wallace, who is our lead chaperone, who has been in charge of this program for about the past 5 years, give or take with COVID, he said this is one of the best trips. This return trip is just one of the warmest welcomes they've had, one of the most just emotional and just truly bonding and building friendships that he saw between the students and the homestay families. So he said it was very positive. Nagano is very excited about continuing the relationship in the trips. And so we're looking forward to continuing that and seeing that grow over the years. We will be having our own wrap-up. We still have to schedule the date, but we're looking at the week of August 21st. So an evening, whenever we can find a spot, one of that week, we'd be looking at having our students, they do their own presentation, so each of the students would give up and give a brief presentation. And of course, the advisory committee is invited, and we'll be inviting council members as well. And usually that's attended by families of the students, and we open it up to our membership to really hear the impact of the program. And then as school starts, we will be rolling out our application and marketing for next year. We try to get our applications in by end of the year, so January we can really make that decision and start having orientations and preparing for next summer's trip. So, we also hosted a virtual exchange with Nagano on July 15th, I believe it was. We hosted the event this time. We had a brief video about some spots in Clearwater, Coachman Park. Amber was gracious enough to give a little 5-minute spiel about the park and about things in Clearwater that people can do. It also highlighted Moccasin Lake Park, as well as the Lawn Center and Clearwater Beach. We had about 20 people on the call, and that was a mix of Nagano residents as well as the board and some Clearwater residents. But we got some really great engagement. We got more questions this time, which I was excited to see. And one thing I just, you don't think about it, but a lot of the questions were about swimming. And, does everybody here know how to swim? And I was like, well, I do. I know a lot of people do, but it just, the fact that you're saying, like, they're from the mountains. The Nagano is an interior city. It's land-bound, and so it was really great to see that exchange and be able to even virtually kind of share our area and share Clearwater with them. Nagano will be hosting the next virtual exchange. It will be sometime in fall, probably late October, November, after the teacher and high school exchanges. And we are moving to just doing 2 a year. So they'll usually host in fall, and we'll host in spring or summer going forward. Those are our major updates.
What are the ages of the middle school?
So middle school, you have to be either a rising 6th grader, so coming into 6th grade, or you could be a rising 9th grader. So it's based on being enrolled in a middle school. So usually, depending on the applications that come in, we will take students who are more 7th or 8th grade because they don't have the opportunity to apply again. 6th graders don't often get accepted and are encouraged to apply again in the future, but we don't limit that because we've had some really wonderful 6th graders come through as well to be part of the program.
Like 12, 13?
Yeah.
The
So-
6th graders would be 11 or 12. Yeah. And most 8th graders, 14, 13, 14.
Yeah, I think on this trip, 2 of them were 8th grade and the rest were 7th graders on this trip that went in 2023.
7 students?
7 students, yeah. 7 students, so 5 were 7th graders and 2 were 8th graders.
It's my understanding this is the only active exchange program in Tampa Bay. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure. I don't know if Tampa Bay does, or if Tampa, they have multiple sister cities. I don't know if Tampa does
I don't believe
student
they have it.
exchanges.
James Wallace shared that with me.
Yeah.
St. Petersburg has a high school exchange.
Exchange-
Yes.
This is a middle
Yeah.
school exchange, though.
They don't do middle
Right.
school,
But
yeah.
St.
Yep.
Peter's has a high school.
I think high schools are more common. I have heard of middle schools in other areas, but yeah, in our area, I haven't heard of other middle school programs in particular.
And then it's my understanding that there's funding from our city of Clearwater for the high school program for some scholarships, but there's no funding for the middle school. Is that accurate?
So we do have a scholarship now that we're very thankful to the city. We've been talking about this. The committee has supported that in the past, and we were able to go ahead and sign an agreement so that in 2024, there will be a scholarship available for a Clearwater resident middle school student to go on the trip that will help cover their spot on the trip. So we'll keep that in mind as we go forward with kind of all of our promotion and marketing and making sure that we are, because we don't restrict our applications to just Clearwater. It could be anybody in the Tampa Bay area, but we definitely want to have more Clearwater students apply.
And what about the middle schoolers from Nagano? Did they ever come to Clearwater? We can host them? Middle schoolers?
Yes, we try our best when the students come over to pair them with families who have gone on the past trip. We don't know who's coming. So I think that, we know that they're preparing for trips, and so, we're going to ask all of our young ambassadors, say, hey, reach out to your homestay brother or sister and ask them to apply to go on the trip if they wanted to travel, because it's not a guarantee if the host family hosted our students that their students get to come on the trip. They still have to apply and go through the process on the Nagano side. But then we, whoever does come over, we start with our young ambassador families to ask if they would like to host. So that'll be coming down the pipe.
Great. Well, again, I don't want to be redundant, but I can't express how impressed we were and how impactful it was for our son and our family. So thanks to you and to James and to everyone involved. It was just first class.
Are there any university programs? I know they're not something we're involved in, but
I don't know on the sister city level, but certainly, there's study abroads with, I
Yeah.
think, all universities. I'm not sure how many of them are connected through sister cities, but Sister Cities International hosts a number of different internships and different opportunities that they run, so.
Yeah, and the Rotary has a lot of exchange programs as well, scholarships for study abroad. I do know specifically, because I took Japanese in college, that USF does not have a program in Japan, but Temple University does in Tokyo. My buddy attended Temple. So, if you're talking about Japan, but yeah, I have tons of exchange programs. These are very costly right now.
There are probably about 90 companies that are active in the Tampa Bay area that bring students from other countries to live here. I don't have any coming from Japan this year, but on a typical year, I'll have 2 or 3 from Japan. It's very limited this year. There are only about 9 total students coming this year. And we usually have somewhere between 25 and 50, so the pandemic we're still catching up from that, I think. But there are lots and lots of programs. I was going to tell you, I have my meeting with my teachers on August the 4th. If you have application information, or if you want somebody to come to Safety Harbor Middle School, I can give you 5 minutes on the morning agenda
Thank you.
to talk about it to the teachers.
Yes, I'll ask our chaperones to see if one of them can attend.
Yeah, Ada will be there anyway.
Yeah.
So she could do it. Great, anything else on the director's report?
No.
All right, board members to be heard.
Well, there was going to be something you were going to bring up on the budget, right?
Yeah, you were gonna bring it up. So, Mr. Kelly had emailed me yesterday and asked about the Sister Cities budget and if there'll be additional allocations for the Kissimmee-Keokon relationship. So there's no change to the Sister City budget allocation for 23-24 fiscal year. As I've stated before, $37,380 is contributed to the fund every year.
37,380.
380. And as we discussed the first meeting that we had, the Sister Cities budget does have quite a surplus because the 2019 delegation was canceled due to the typhoon, and then with the pandemic, we have had no exchange trips, so that fund has just been building and building for 8+ years. So after we paid dues to Sister Cities International, the shirts for the high school, all the exchanges, and the student exchange flights for the high school trip, the fund now sits at $190,428. And of course, that's not including the 37 that will be added in October. So.
That'll pay off my Lamborghini.
And then in the past, we budgeted around $70,000 on delegations every 5 years, and that's for both delegations, the ones that go to Nagano and the ones that come to Clearwater. Obviously, that will probably be higher going forward since costs have gone up. But we have, plenty of money in the fund to cover the increase. And just want to put it on record, historically, the city has only paid for employee expenses on delegation trips. So +1s, spouses, any other delegation members usually fund their own trip, even though they're paired with like a homestay family. So any additional funds being put into the Kissimmee-Keokon Sister City, I think it's still very early in that relationship. We don't really know what that looks like. Kind of early to be planning delegations and exchanges. So once we've got, we're a little more comfortable with that relationship, I think we can have that discussion. But I think we have plenty of money for now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members to be heard? Great. Anything else for the good of the group? Amber, can you give a little brief update on where the delegation trip is or what's going on with that?
So I'm in talks right now with the city manager to decide what she wants the exchange delegation to look like. The 2019 was just going to be city council and that's it. City council, city manager, I think assistant city manager.
Right.
So I've asked her if she wants to keep it that small, if she wants to open it to Sister Cities Inc. board, advisory board, or if she wants to open it to the public. So I have yet to hear back. And this was an email that just happened yesterday. So
Gotcha.
hopefully I'll have better direction the next meeting.
Thank you.
Tell her to include the advisory board, or I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah. Would it be unethical for me to reach out there? Because I spent some time with Jennifer at the grand opening. I'd love to come. I consider myself a great ambassador, and if I had to pay, I'll pay for myself and my wife. Would that be inappropriate? Yeah. Okay. No comment.
Reach out to
Yeah.
city officials.
We're the advocates for the community. We're volunteering. We're advocates for our community. Who better to represent? In my opinion, I'm biased, but okay. I didn't know that it was in doubt whether we'd be going to Japan as advisory board members.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they made it smaller in 2019. I know it was open to the public in the past. I'm not really sure.
On another note, I connected Amber with the gentleman who runs all the sister cities for Tampa, maybe for some benchmarking opportunities, just to see how, somehow they run some parties or some announcements and some of the, so hopefully that will be helpful to you and to our group. He seems to be pretty assertive about creating community awareness.
He's a good resource, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, any further business? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We are adjourned.
All right.